Hi everyone. I was trying to coordinate a workshop for you this week. It was going to be online. I was going to be all prepared and invite everyone in to join me. And the energies of the consciousness are just, they're just so crazy at the moment. It felt really chaotic, even though it shouldn't be. And I was curious with myself as to whether it was just my avoidance or my perfectionism stuff or all those things that kind of, come up to sabotage you doing the things you want to be doing. But it wasn't that because um, I was really, prepared. I knew it was something I wanted to do. So the reason why I'm kind of just doing this, random off the cuff kind of recording is because I feel like there's a really huge collective energy. And I mean, there's no doubt saying I'm recording this on, election day. The results haven't come out yet. The election day in the US, I should say, the results haven't come out yet. And I realized that this is proof, right? The way everyone is feeling, the way that there's this kind of strange energetics in the air that says change, shift, anxiousness, impatience, uncomfortable, change, all these things um, that just kind of sit with people really strangely. And I get that. I feel like this is a scientific evidence. Not that I ever feel like I certainly don't need to feel like I need to prove what I believe in anymore. But I know that for some people, the idea of energetics and consciousness and the fact that we're all connected and the fact that, um, of course, the dogs are coming to visit because I'm talking. um, is really is something that is now in the air that when millions and millions and millions of people across the world, across the globe, because whilst I know the US is one country, there are actually quite a lot of changes happening in many other countries. It's certainly not the only election country. And I'm not being political by any means. I am the least political person because it's just I have it's not my focus, it's not my area. And that's not an avoidance thing. It's just not something that I can move into. What I'm focusing on is the fact that whether you're political or not, there is this energetic shift happening. And I don't know, if you're the type of people watching me that also watches many, many other things around energetics, around astrological focus, or around political issues or things that need to change and the new earth and all these kinds of things. But I mean, if you are, then obviously this isn't a new message to you. But if you're kind of new to this concept of awakening, spiritual awakening, the idea that there is this other layer of consciousness in our being, that we're all connected, then this time right now is really like I said, it's kind of proof that we're all kind of feeling this same, like you always need, like you're always short of breath almost of anticipation. um and then the anticipation of also not knowing or not feeling like whatever the outcomes are, things aren't necessarily going to be better or relieved or in a sense of calm. I think we're far from calm ever for a while. um, and I don't say that to be a doomsdayer. I don't say that to be, negative by any means. In a sense, I'm actually really, it's a strange vibe. It's like there's an optimism in the change, but there's also an uncomfortableness in the chaos, right? So, there's this feeling that things need to change as a collective. And that's going to be chaotic during the process, especially in the US when you look at the fact that you have two polar opposite people representing two polar opposite parties, and half the country, is following either of them. So that's a huge divide. So that means that there's two very polar opposite consciousness weaves going over, going through the world right now, going through the country. And of course, what happens in the US gets kind of shared across the world in many platforms. So, and there are many countries, I know Australia focuses a lot on what the US does and how it affects its own country, and there are quite a few other countries that always focus on what the US is doing. So of course it affects the certainty of how people feel in what the future prospects look like and bring. And to be quite honest, if from my perspective, um, I don't think there's certainty in either of the parties. I don't think there's either whoever becomes the new leader. I still feel like there is big changes and shifts and chaotic unraveling to come, um, in some way, shape, or form. Now, I say that in a sense of I'm the kind of person who, if I have a weekend or a day and I don't have much to do, I'm going to do a clean out. I'm gonna do a spring cleaning no matter what time of year it is. That's just me. I look at stuff and think that's clutter that needs to change, that needs to go, that needs to shift. That's me. So I'm a big believer in change and going through the muck of saying, is this really working, or can we get rid of it? Can we let go of this because it's weighing us down? Can we move into the new? Can we go into the clean spaces and let go of all the debris that we've had and that we're taking with us? And that comes down to the individual as well. And that's what I feel this real message is really about, to take note of what's happening in the consciousness today as collective. It's affecting millions and millions and millions and millions of people, and that can't be ignored. But how does that affect us as individuals? Well, it affects us because it also makes us look at the things that perhaps we don't want to look at, the old patterns, the old comforts, the old ways of doing things, the old relationships or the current relationships or the current career or whatever it is that has been brought to the surface, for you to go, is this really working for me? Is this really something that I need to keep hammering away at to think that it's going to get better or change? Because it always comes back to that old saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. It's a well-used quote because it's very true, and we do it, right? We do that. Oh, I'll just do it again. I'm just going to try harder. I'll just do more. And it just comes out with an even louder outcome that says, it's not working. And at some point, and this is the point, now is the time. That's why this energy is so like a pressure cooker. It feels really tight. It feels really congesting. Like I said, like as though you can't take in that really next level deep breath, even though you're not even focusing on your breathing. It's kind of this, feeling of, okay, where is this pressure pushing me to? Is it pushing me to look at the things that I have been refusing to look at from fear, or just that's too hard? And it is, it's all hard and it's all scary. But think about that. Is it really? Is what part of it is scary? And if it's universally, if this energy is pushing you so hard, it's because it knows what's best for you. And it's also because it's what you've asked for on the other side. The relief comes from going through to that next stage. The relief comes from taking that step into the nothing and trusting that the floor will appear. The next step is you conquering that fear and conquering that pressure and conquering all the saboteurs and all the things that are trying to stop you from doing what you think you're doing. And it could be people pleasing. It could be, I'll stay in this spot because everyone likes it that I'm here. I don't want to upset, I don't want to upset people around me. I don't want to upset my family or everyone else who thinks that I'm this person. But that's actually what this time is calling for all of us to do. It's calling for all of us to upset the apple cart, as the saying goes. I don't know where that saying came from, but anyway, that's what the time is calling for us to do, is to make the change. Find the courage to go to that next step. Have the conversation. Do the tough stuff. Make the leap. Do the change. Move house. End the relationship. Whatever it is that you know within the depths of your soul, in your heart, it has been telling you to do this for such a long time. Now is the time. You are so supported universally. The energy is supporting you. And what that does is, if you think about it from a perspective of individual consciousness and collective consciousness, the more all of us individually release the pressure of the fear of the stepping into that new thing, the new business, the new whatever it is that you're doing, and you face that stuff and you go, you know what? I am going to do it. And if people don't like it, that's their problem, because I need to do this. All of that pressure that gets released releases the pressure for the entire consciousness. It also helps support the energy that is pushing all of us right now to trust in the fact that we all need significant change. We cannot do the old ways, the old things, the old being, the old thoughts, the old patterns. They're old and we can't do them anymore, because there's this new level of humanity that we're trying to push ourselves into. We want to expand our consciousness. We want to be able to think bigger. We want to be able to meditate bigger. We want to be able to hold more energetically and expand ourselves. And to be able to do that, we need to let go of the old version of ourselves. It just doesn't sit anymore. It doesn't fit anymore. We can't be in the old skin. Old skin, old shoes, all the cliches, all of them, they're all relevant. So it's time. If you are feeling really dense, depressed, old cloak just weighing you down, or it could even be, because some of us are quite opposites, it could even be that you're so, like, you just have this ongoing electrical buzz inside you that just feels like it won't let you rest. It's the same, right? Some of us carry and hold our energetic frequencies very differently, because we're all on different paths at the time, right? We're all on different frequencies now. So I'm feeling my stress in a very different way. So I don't usually feel what I consider stress as what other people hold stress. And that's just who I am. Doesn't mean I don't get stressed. I just carry it and hold it differently. So I have to be able to recognize my stress levels in different ways. If I start to act differently or feel differently in my body, I know that my stress has hit its peak again. So I have to learn to expand, right? I don't I don't try and bury my stress. I don't try and avoid my stress. I don't try and pretend I'm not stressed, because then it's telling my body not to listen to the red flags that my energy is giving me. So I learn to expand it. I accept it. I go, okay, am I taking on too much for my nervous system right now? Have I said yes to too many things? Do I need to take a step back? Do I need to recalibrate my nervous system? Do I need to expand because I actually want to keep doing what I'm doing right now at this level? I do that on a regular basis. And that's what I'm really strongly suggesting you take notice of for yourself in whatever state you're in. If you're feeling really just complicated, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to do my stuff every day, wake up and do what I have to do what my business is, do what my work is. just stay in my routine because I feel like that will help. Maybe not. Maybe that's the change that you need to make, right? Maybe the change that you need to make is to change your routine, is to, do things that are going to work for your nervous system better. It's actually your nervous system that runs our day. Okay. If you overwork your nervous system, you're not going to be able to get up the next day. And if you're underwhelming, if you're kind of not running in your peak performance, you're still going to feel, kind of slumpy and slow and all underachieving. Like you feel like you're not getting anywhere, or you're not being able to cope. So either way, it's about how your nervous system is being regulated, and things are changing. Our energetics as human beings are definitely up leveling. Whether you like it or not, you aren't in control of it. So the more you resist, it will feel more and more uncomfortable for you. And eventually you won't be able to resist it. So it will be painful in a variety of different ways. That it will be painful, by discomfort, by disease, by illness, by your nervous system not being able to handle it. So what I'm getting at is, you know, go with it. You've got to trust the fact that this is time for humanity to be up leveled. This is time for all of us, wherever we're at. Even if right now you're feeling sick and uncomfortable and you just don't want to get out of bed, well, it's definitely time to up level. There's no hiding from where we're going. Okay. So that ended up being quite more of a message than I was expecting. um, from my heart to yours, I hope that you really are in some way feeling supported, even if it's by someone around you that doesn't realize they're supporting you, or a pet, a loved one, or a connection on the internet, that we are all feeling somewhat charged in different ways, or uncomfortable in different ways, and understanding this level of uncertainty. And I just want to say one more thing about uncertainty, because we are really in a time of uncertainty. And yet, this is the part that I feel we should be up leveling into, by understanding that uncertainty is inevitable and always, because we as humans always think that we're in control, and yet we're not. There is actually nothing that we're in control of. That is a lie that we tell ourselves. Because even the homes that we live in, the cars that we drive around in, all of those things can be taken away from us very easily at any time. So control is a myth that helps us to keep feeling safe. So the better that we can step into anxiety, I was going to say, because my head was already thinking anxiety is when we feel like we don't have control, right? But that's the myth, because if we step into uncertainty and realize that we truly never really have control, there's a level of divine faith and trust that we can have, that if we are stepping into ourselves, that we can actually have faith in ourselves. It's not faith in anything else. It's faith in us. Faith in the fact that your soul is an incredibly highly evolved conscious being that is only going to direct us and guide us into the path that we're meant to be on. And I say this from my own experience. I know for many of you who've watched me before, you know that the path that I lead is very guided by my soul and my guides. And most of the time I'm very unaware of what I'm doing in the next 6 months or 12 months, or where I'm going to be living, or any of that. I have goals and I have things mapped out, but I don't necessarily know where I'm living or where I'm traveling to. And I'm okay with all of that. I kind of have this knowingness that no matter what happens in the world, there will be a place that I have. There will be somewhere I can go. There will be, food on the table and a roof over my head. And I'm totally okay with that. I'm not suggesting that you need to get to the point where you're just throwing it all away and saying I'm okay with living by whatever. But because obviously that's not necessarily for everyone. But what I'm getting at is this idea of uncertainty is also believing in yourself, believing that you are capable no matter what. Now, that might be a far point from where you are right now, and that's okay. So it can be little steps. And I know I'm going off on a different tangent of where I started, but kind of not. Because we are living in a state of uncertainty now. And if that is your frequency, then that will attract more uncertainty into your life. It will attract more things to keep you in that space. You will constantly be questioning, what does my future hold? And that brings more anxiety. So what I'm getting at is that if that is your space, then it's time to expand your consciousness, time to open up. And what does that look like? That means if you try to meditate more and ask for more expansion. And if meditate just makes you think, I can't do that, so that's no good. Then remove the word meditate and go for nature walks and prayers that are from your own mind. So there might be mantras if you don't like the word prayers. It might be just like a ritual meditative, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you can just repeat a few words of what you're wanting, right? That's actually the same thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's all about your intention and the words that you're using. So you're calling in more energy. You're calling in the ability to expand your capacity to hold more energy. And in doing that, in being able to hold more consciousness and more energy, you're actually able to understand more about what's going on. You're actually be able to be more open to the concepts of the change that is coming, so that you can hold more of yourself, because you're a huge being. You're this huge soul. You're connected to huge consciousness. So if you're contracted and very small and only able to think with your brain capacity, then that's where the anxiety and the uncomfortableness comes from, because that's not the world we're moving into. And so that's like all of that energy trying to squeeze into a tiny little box, which is where the anxiety comes from, right? That's where the uncomfortableness comes from, and the uncertainty. I hope that's making sense in the way that I've explained it. Happy for you to leave comments, questions, thoughts, if you have other ways of describing the same thing, because ultimately that's what we're all doing. There's a lot of people sharing messages, sharing their version of what I'm talking about, whether it's astrological, whether it's energetics, whether it's, downloaded, spirit guided, channeled messages. All of them are kind of the same thing, and we all might say them a little bit differently, but this is how it sits with me. This is how I'm kind of experiencing it in my own space. And I say that because in my own space, I have felt really, really uncomfortable. I felt really high energy, high frequency, kind of, whoa, I don't think I can run on this level all the time. This feels really stressful. And yet then when I open myself up to it, and I accept that this is the way things are and I'm okay with this, and I'll open myself to that energy, it actually levels me up. It actually makes me see things from a whole new view and be like, okay, I can handle this. I'm okay with this. As long as I'm taking care of my physical body as well, which is a very important point. You can't do that running on, coffee and I don't know, lollies or candy or sugar. That won't work. So you need to hydrate, you need to exercise, you need to stretch, you need to do all the physical stuff as well, because your physical body is just as important to be able to help you keep the expansion of your energetic body. So that's really important. And that's a challenge for me as well, because I whilst I do focus a lot on trying to keep my body as healthy as possible, there are times when that is not my focus. So, I'm a Taurian. We like comfort food. And that's definitely changed over the years. So Um, yeah, just feeling like whether that feels like enough of my conversation with you today. Like I said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing some live workshops with you where we can communicate together and do some questions and things. But um, I wasn't quite ready for that. And this needed, I think, particularly because of the energy of the moment. Um, I just felt like I needed to voice that for everyone and anyone who's watching. We're all feeling a bit uncomfortable. We're all feeling a bit woozy and wobbly and in the unknown. And I want to do a collective hug and just be like, it's okay. We're going to make it. We are. We're going to make it. It might look crazy for a while. And we might be really talking about this moment for many years to come and looking back and going, remember that 2024? Well, and it'll be 2025 and 2026. I don't think anything's really going to calm down for the next few years. So, strap in, as they say. But I think, we can do this together if we verbalize it, we talk about it and we connect. And I'm really happy to do that. So, yeah. As I said, feel free to share comments, like, subscribe, do all those lovely things so that I know you're out there listening to me. And there was something else I was just going to add. What was it? Yeah, I've got quite a few. I've interviewed a few wonderful people. I'm really enjoying it. I know I'm a bit kind of, not not fancy. I'm definitely not a fancy interviewer person, but I don't really mind. I'm sure you're okay with that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching me. And I am actually just newly traveling to Australia in a couple of weeks. So I will be heading to Australia. I'm in the US at the moment. For those of you who aren't aware, where I generally live, I do travel a lot, but I am heading to Australia for the summer. Yes, I do love my Australian summers. I'm heading to Australia and, doing some work there with people, medicine work, clients. So yeah, any fellow Aussies who want to connect while I'm there, I'll be there for a couple of months. Please let me know. Email me if you're on my newsletter and you have my details, leave comments, and I'll see what we can arrange in Australia. So some of the interviews might be Australian speakers or different workshops online in that time zone. So anyway, thank you so much for letting me share with you. I love and honor all of you who watch and contribute and help me to share messages. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a wonderful, wonderful pleasure. And please take care of yourself because you're worth it. Bye.